Hi, this is the Daily Overpass. My name is Eric and I make apps. Now today I want to show you a little bit of my AdMob revenue. Okay, so yesterday in the comments there was a really good discussion on AdMob and RPMs and everything like that. Yesterday's video was number 70, which was the App Store Fights Back, which I thought was a pretty good title to myself. So Neon Blades had asked a question. He said, I'm a big fan, thank you for your content, thanks. I have a question. 3 months ago I launched my app, my first app. It has 58,000 downloads, 25,000 of them are active, which is really good. My problem is the ad revenue is terrible. I use AdMob. My RPM on interstitials is always below 0.3 euros, and I show 9,000 impressions plus daily. I really appreciate your help, all that kind of stuff. And it started this whole conversation with everybody answering and giving advice and everything like that. And it was probably one of the better conversations that I've seen. I mean, it was better than the video, to be honest. So if you want to go back and have a look at that. And there was a lot of really good advice there. Andrew Alves gave a really good explanation of RPM, saying that RPM is based on the ad that your app is showing. For example, if your ads show from Dubai, it may produce you €2 because the Dubai are a bit more valuable. If your ads are from Africa, Indonesia, or even from India, they may produce lesser RPM. What you want to target is localize your app in different languages, so users may see from different countries, so they produce better RPM, which was really good. And this is one of the things that I think about with RPM is there's so many different variables at play. There's the different countries, banners versus interstitials. Interstitials always do better, all that kind of stuff. And and then I also question whether or not you get better inventory if you have more downloads. I'm not quite sure about that. So what I thought I would do, and I promised this a few weeks ago to show my AdMob account, I don't really have a topic for today. Now, I was kind of hesitant about this because with AdMob, I'm kind of in a slump at the moment, right? My AdMob has been low for the past week, right? It's sort of like, it's just sort of bleh, right? And I don't want you guys to think I'm less of a man or whatever. I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to show you my AdMob just as it is. I don't have any advice. I don't have any tips. I'm just going to show it to you, and then you can make some. You can look at mine and compare it to yours, and maybe you can come up with some insights, and then we can all share this information and stuff too. All right. So just go ahead and have a look at my screen over here. Here's my AdMob account for today. So like I said yesterday, and so, by the way, some of you guys, this is why I'm kind of hesitant to show it as well. For some of you guys, you're going to say my AdMob is really high. Some of you are going to think it's too low. All right, it's going to be either higher or lower than what you're used to. Some of you guys aren't quite getting the revenue from AdMob yet, or any ad networks. So it might look high to you. And so you guys are probably doing way better than I am, and you're probably looking at this and thinking, man, Eric, is that all you make? Gee, how do you live, right? So anyway, so here's the front page of my AdMob. You can see here so far today, or from 8 o'clock this morning UK time, it's made £35.22. Yesterday was £100.15. My comfort zone is about 120 pounds a day. So if it goes below that, I feel like that's really bad. And and for a long time it was above that all the time. But 120 pounds a day, that's 5 pounds an hour, regardless of the time of day. All right, so this is where it's been, and you can see here over the last week, it's been around 109, 115, 108. Finally reached 122 a few days ago. Then it dropped to 84, and then 97, and yesterday was 100. So this kind of thing. So what I want to do here is go into the monetize tab, and what I want to just sort of localize on one day. So if we take, here you can see, I mean, it's really good to look at this kind of information. So you've got the number of AdMob requests that came through, the number that were actually responded to. So it's nearly 500,000 requests over the last 7 days. 400,000 were responded to, which was 88%. 328,000 impressions, 6,000 clicks, click-through rate of 1.85, and an average RPM of 225, and the earnings of 738. So that's over the past week. Now, the thing about AdMob and RPMs is that there's only so much that I have control over. I have no control over the RPMs. I don't have, basically it's this is what I have control over. I have control over the amount of impressions, and I only have so much control over that. It means I need to make sure that I'm showing enough ads in my app and I need to make sure that I'm getting enough downloads of those apps as well. So if I go through here, and again, you can see here, based on the number of days, 109 and 905. But let me just go here and do, we talked, one of the comments talked about the different countries. So let's go into here and let me just isolate it for yesterday. So the, that 100 pounds 15 that came in yesterday. So here we go. So that was based on 60,000 requests, 52,000 were answered, 894 clicks, RPM of 214. Now if I go do and do a, if I change the dimension to based on country here, you can see most of it's pretty low. And we talked about the US being the highest RPM, the highest ad revenue. I'm finding this too. So if I go here and sort by estimated ratings, estimated earnings. So here you can see the United States has the lion's share of it. So 72 pounds, well, 72%, I mean, it's almost exact, of that entire, all yesterday's revenue came from the United States, right? We have, India came in at 472, and then it was Japan, then it was United Kingdom. So it's definitely US for me. If I go through and I show you the amount of requests that we have coming through, we have United States, India, Thailand, it starts to go, some of these have really low RPMs. And if I just do based on RPM, wow, oh well, Palestine, I mean, it only have 3 impressions, Honduras. So, yeah, I mean, when you go through these kind of things, you can see, I mean, sometimes you have really inflated RPMs. That doesn't mean I need to serve more in that area. That means of the ones that you served, they've been clicked on quite a lot. And if you only have like 5 and 3 of them are clicked, that doesn't mean that you have a really high RPM. That just means for whatever reason they have to click there. Now let me go through and do it based on the format, because that's the other thing we talk about. We talk about the difference between banners and interstitials. I mean, interstitials do so much better. So here we go, based on yesterday. Now I've got this weird setting in mind. I don't know why it is, where I've got banner, interstitial, and interstitial. And I think banner interstitial is a mix of the two, and I don't know why they're being mixed. Maybe I've set it up wrong here. But here you can see banners. I've got an RPM of 8 pence, 7,500 requests, 5,000 clicked. People just generally don't click on banners anyway. For interstitials, you can see here I've got an RPM of £6.49, so much higher. In fact, almost half of the entire, well, it actually is more than half of yesterday's revenue comes from interstitials. So for those of you who are still just sticking with banners, I do banners and interstitials, and I know that interstitials do most. And if I have to make a choice between the two of them, I always go for interstitials. And I know they're annoying, and a lot of people still don't do them because they do. And you have to make sure you serve enough of them. So I have my interstitial set to, I limit it to twice a minute. So if somebody's clicking around a lot and they have to, and I also have it based on certain points. So I used to have it come up right when the app opened, and then I got suspended. Now it goes based on a button click event. So from transitioning from one to another, which is basically based on the rules, so that it doesn't violate anything. But if for whatever reason they're just really clicking around, I don't want to keep showing these ads, so I have it set to twice a minute. If that becomes a problem, I might reduce it to once a minute, but just make sure that you serve enough. And also if I go based on, let me just do based on the app. For me, I have one big app which makes most of the revenue. So let me just see here. If I go based on estimated earnings, you can see it's my 2 earspy apps which do the lion's share here too. So those are getting all the requests and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we're still putting the rest of them out there, but they make a very small amount in terms of the ad revenue, but they do much better on purchases. So even though they don't seem to make a lot of money in ads, I still put ads in there because that does encourage the purchase process, at least for me. So anyway, that's it for today. It's not really, I don't really have any advice here, but having a look at that based on yours, you might get a bit more insight about how yours works compared to mine. If you have other tips and things like that that I might not be doing, then share it with everybody. If there's certain things that you do, if you find, like obviously United States for me is a big one, but if you say like Brazil's really good for you, or China's really good for you, or whatever, I think we'd all love to hear it. And anyway, I hope it's been helpful. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.